We're now going to look at writing the equations of lines that involve parallel and perpendicular lines. So one thing that I want to remind you of is that slopes of parallel lines are equal. And you get the slope by looking when it's in y equals mx plus b at the coefficient of x. So for parallel lines, the slopes are equal. So this line has a slope of -5, this line has a slope of -5, so those lines are parallel. And perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. And reciprocal means flipped upside down, opposite means opposite sign. So this is -2/3. So opposite means the negative changes into positive, and reciprocal means the fraction flips upside down. So the 2/3 becomes 3/2 and the sign changes. Now, in this example, it reads, what is the equation of the line that passes through this point and is perpendicular to this point, or to this line? So as always, in order to determine the equation of a line, you need to know the slope, which is the m, and it goes in front of the x, and you need to know the y-intercept, which is the b, which comes after the x. You may be given the slope, you may be given the y-intercept. If not, you need to use your tools that we've learned in the previous lessons to figure it out. So what we know is that it has to be perpendicular to this line. So what we need is the perpendicular slope. So that's m and that upside down t. We need to figure out what the slope of this line is, and then we get the slope of a perpendicular line. In order to find the slope of this line, because it's not in y equals mx plus b, you have to be able to rearrange it into slope y-intercept form. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is isolate y. So your equation is 2x minus 3y plus 4 equals 0. And in order to isolate y, you got to keep the y term on its own, and you're going to subtract 2x from both sides, and you're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So that's going to give you, line up your equal signs, -3y still on the left, and on the right, -2x minus 4. The next thing that you are going to do is to divide everything by -3. And now put everything into lowest terms. -2 over -3 in lowest terms is 2/3. And -4 over -3 in lowest terms is positive 4/3. So the equation of this line in slope y-intercept form is here, which means the slope is the coefficient of x. So the slope of this line is 2/3. So to get the slope of a perpendicular line, you have to change the sign. So instead of positive, it's going to be negative. And you need the reciprocal, which means to flip it upside down. So instead of 2/3, it's going to be 3/2. Next step is to determine the y-intercept, and from the previous lesson, you use this extra point here, and in that point, what you're going to do is substitute this in for x and this in for y in order to solve for the y-intercept. So the formula for the line is y equals mx plus b. You're going to substitute the -3/2 into the slope. And now you're going to substitute the 4 in for the y. And the -6 in for the x. And now we have to multiply these two things. So -3/2 times -6. -3 times -6 is 18. And then divided by 2 is 9. So 4 equals 9 plus b. Then to solve for b, subtract 9 from both sides. And that gives you -5. And then your final answer becomes y equals, the slope would be -3/2, and the y-intercept is -5.